Done. Okay, I think it's recording. Can you see like a record thing for yourself?
It just said that this call is now being recorded. So yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. All right, so my name is Diana, and do you mind telling me a little bit about yourself? Like, where do you live? Like, anything about, like just anything if you want to introduce yourself at all. I don't know.
Well, I'm Jennie, and I'm in Clarendon Hills, local mom.
Cool. Cool. And so like you are a single mom. Can you tell me a little bit about your family? Like right now, what is your family? You said you have 6 kids, right?
Yes. So I actually started out as a single mom because I had a daughter really young when I met my husband, and then I had 6 more children. One did pass away, so I have currently 6 living children. We're all luckily living together in the suburb. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they range in ages from 24 all the way down to 7.
Okay.
Going at multiple different schools in the area.
Yeah. Nice, nice. All right, so I'm gonna start with some of the questions that I sent, and
Sure.
whatever you feel comfortable. Uh, Can you take me back to the moment you realized you would be a single mom? What was it like, and what went through your mind?
Um, I guess I was young, so it kind of catches you off, surprise. I guess you don't expect to have children that quickly.
Yeah.
Um, I was very, very lucky. I lived very close to my mom and my grandma, and they helped me a lot. And it was also kind of fun because it was like, multi-generational type family. Everybody helped me with my first child. Everybody
Mhm.
babysat. His mom would help me with her too. She would babysit her. Um, it it wasn't as hard with one child at the time. I think just because I had so many people that were, everybody loved my daughter. People always wanted to watch her, wanted to help. I felt like it wasn't hard or bad or anything. But
Mhm.
then, you think, oh, I don't want her to be an only child. I'd like her to have a sibling maybe, or a father figure. Her father passed away.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
you think, oh, maybe it would be nice if I had like a family for her. Um, so then I did pursue being in a relationship and getting married and having more kids so that, but then my whole marriage too, I felt the same. How I don't know if you've ever heard the term married single parent, where you're like doing, well, it's like there's some partners that just like go to work and that's it. Like they don't get up at night with babies, they don't change diapers, they don't feed the baby, they don't do any type of household task.
Okay.
They don't do dishes, they don't cook. Like I felt like I adopted another child, like almost.
Yeah.
um I just, at first I thought, oh, he wasn't taught this growing up. He'll learn. I thought, oh, okay, maybe his mom did do everything for him, and it's he'll learn. But he
Yeah.
never ever learned. He never picked up new skills. He didn't ever learn. So um, I adapted as I had children and did more and more and more, and then now it kind of sucks though, because like I don't have my parents anymore. My grandma is gone. So it's different now, obviously, than it was when I first started.
So like when you did get married, like what kind of support did you have, or did you have
We lived with
support?
my parents. We're in a 2 flat. My parents lived upstairs and we lived downstairs. My parents, my kids would just run upstairs anytime. You know, they loved
Mm-hmm.
my parents. It was great, because like close knit family. My kid, they say the more people you have involved in your kid's life, the better. My dad would take them to movies on weekends. My dad would do activities with them. My dad even went on trips with them. Like if they wanted to go see what Milwaukee looked like, he'd take a day trip to Milwaukee with them. Or he even took
Wow.
my some of my kids on Amtrak down to like Louisiana or, like wherever they wanted to go, he would do whatever, they, especially after they retired, they had time and they're like right there. So like, if I couldn't do something, they'd just go, "Hey, grandma, can you give me a ride to the library?" Or, whatever. And, or if, when they're little and you need a nap, like, or you just want to clean the house and not hold a baby or whatever. My mom was like right there. It was very, very convenient. It was awesome. It was great.
Does that still happen today?
Well, no, because my parents are passed away now.
Oh, both of your parents are passed away. Okay. I
Back
thought
to
maybe.
back. Yeah. It sucks, because like even if a kid was running late for school, my kids are all at different schools, right? Like, the way they split them up and all the schools start at different times. Like one will be preschool through, first or second grade, and third through fifth, or, they're all different. And if one kid misses the bus, and you have a whole bunch of them back to back to back to back, it was kind of nice to have another person say, "Hey, I'll drop them off. Don't worry about it." Or if you're running late, they could pick them up. Or it's nice having another adult that can just step in and knows your kid and you trust, and,
Yeah.
can help.
What does your support system look like now?
Now it's just me, I'm like, I mean, I don't have anybody. Like, I have nice neighbors. I do have awesome neighbors, but it's not the same as your parents, or your grandma. Like my grandma would even babysit, which I thought was kind of cool, so my kids got to know my grandma, my older kids, not my younger ones. But yeah, I don't have, I feel kind of, like, because my in-laws all cut me off the minute I filed for divorce. Like, not that they were that helpful to begin with, but like my kids, like, it does feel kind of isolating for me specifically, I guess, now, because the kids have zero contact at all with his side of the family. They cut them off.
Yeah.
And then, I have brothers, but my kids see them randomly on weekends or whatever. But it's not the same as like being right next door,
Yeah. So even when you were married, you were kind of still a single mom.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a big adaptation to the only difference, I guess, is sort of financial, but for some reason child support's more money than he was giving me during marriage. So I think it's a little bit easier. Like in my case, I felt like it was easier without him in the house. So like he was more work than all 6 of my children,
In what way, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I was in an abusive relationship, so it was a little bit different too. But like, he was very needy. Like and he didn't do anything. Like I, made his doctor, like another kid, I made his doctor appointments. I picked up his prescriptions. I fed him. Like he would want me to make him breakfast and lunch before work, because I eventually did quit working and I was staying home, and like he'd just pile more work on me. I'd run errands for him, and, but then like he would do things a child wouldn't do. Like he would use up all the gas in my car and leave it on empty, or, like inconvenient things that make life harder, like, he would wake up in the middle of the night and turn all the lights on. He would, microwave something at 2 o'clock in the morning, wake everybody up, and or watch TV loudly, or, it was disruptive. And then he'd just disappear and you didn't know where he was, or, it was like I was babysitting him, and it was like constant, like, where is he? What is he doing? Or he'd drain the bank account and there'd be no money for food. And you're like, what did you do? And he bought something expensive, or, I don't have to worry about that. I control where all my finances go, and I don't have to worry about somebody suddenly draining the bank account. Or
you mean like right now?
Right now, I know. Yeah. Right now it's much easier, much easier than being married, for sure.
Are you happy?
I mean, technically I'm legally still married. I've been trying to divorce him for 5 years, but
yeah,
it's much easier without him in the house. Nobody's walking on eggshells, and I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to accommodate another person. I don't have to wash more laundry, fold and put away,
Yeah. And because, like, like you don't have to maybe be afraid anymore or something, you know? Like, because you said
But
it
even
was.
like my kids will follow rules. Like he would, like we have a cat. Like I don't want the cat drinking out of the toilet. You know, shut the toilet. Especially with little kids too. I don't know if you did this. I didn't want my kids being attracted to the toilet, touching the toilet, dropping anything in the toilet. You know, when you have little kids, you worry they're going to drop a toy and clog the toilet or whatever. I just liked the toilet lid shut. He would never shut the toilet lid, or like he would shave. I've read this online a lot. He would shave and like leave hair all over the sink, or, you know, like
Mhm,
you were just constantly picking up after somebody that wouldn't, you know, he'd leave his shoes in the middle of the hallway. And like my kids will put their shoes in a little cubby holes, you know,
mhm.
it's, yeah, he didn't adapt to the family.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it's good that it's easier now.
Yeah.
Um, all right, my next question. What has surprised you the most about being a single mom? Something you did not expect at all.
I mean, I think everybody kind of expects it to be really, really hard. So I'm not sure that I was surprised.
Mhm,
Because you know, I think most people would assume being a single parent is very hard.
mhm,
Because being a parent in general is hard. So I don't know if that caught me off surprise. The only thing that I guess surprised me is like the legal system and how things legally work and how all that happens, I guess.
In what way? Like, what was that? Like,
Well,
what
my
did you?
oldest child, her father passed away. So um I never dealt with child support. I never dealt with um anything legal at all, you know, because
Mhm,
we got along until you know he passed away. I never navigated a breakup or anything like that. But like with our current legal system, I've heard it takes a very long time to get anything done, which that surprised me, I guess. Like, you know, they'll give him
mhm,
6 weeks to do something, and then they'll just have a status hearing, and then they'll give him 6 weeks to do some, you know, oh, you didn't do it, okay, we'll see you again in 6 weeks, you know.
yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
it's just endless time. And it can obviously drag out for years. You know, I've been having court for 5 years now, and I
Mhm,
feel like very, very little happens, and it's very spaced out. You know, like every 6 to 8 weeks, you have a court date, and you know, you might get one piece of paper with like one thing on it. You know,
yeah.
and then even child support. Like I thought the minute child support's ordered, people want to pay it. They don't. And then,
Mm,
you know, even when you go, you know, then I thought, oh, when his paycheck's supposed to be garnished, then you get it, and you don't necessarily. And then, you know, you have to. It takes like half a year to get child support if they don't cooperate. You know.
yeah. So it's really hard. Like, it really is. Like,
Well, you
everything
don't
that.
expect that, right? Like you expect the court to kind of care about you as a person. Maybe, you know, like
Yeah,
I have 6 kids. Like, I'm going to the food pantry, but it's not enough. I can't keep up with all the bills. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
and judges just don't, not all of them, anyways, don't necessarily, you know, like, oh, well, we'll talk about it in 2 months, you know? And you're like, wait,
Mhm.
I need food now. What do you mean we'll talk about it in 2 months, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
And when your first child's father passed, did you get any kind of support from the government, like financially or anything?
Well, we were teenagers, so you do get survivor social security benefits, but you know, when you're a
Mhm.
teenager, you haven't paid into social security really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you
And so,
didn't.
I mean, I got like $100 a month, but I mean, which was helpful, obviously, for me at the time or whatever, you know, at the way back then. But it you know, it wasn't so I don't know if you've ever gotten like statements like it's based on how much you work and how much you've paid in to Social Security is how much you would get like survivor benefits.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, that's like $100 is nothing, really. Um,
Well, I mean, yeah, they gradually increased it a little bit, but I mean, like it might have paid for her lunch money, you know, or you know, that kind of a
mhm.
thing. It didn't. I don't know. It wasn't much.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm glad that you at least had like your parents and your grandma and stuff to help you
Well,
out.
his side of the family also was very, very helpful. Like his mother, like his sister bought her first pair of shoes, like they bought her clothes, like they bought her a, like they would take her places, they would do stuff with her. Her grandma would take her to church on Sundays, like they were
Mhm,
involved, so that was helpful, like as compared to like my in-laws. They
mhm,
don't do anything with my kids. They don't give them gifts, they don't buy them anything, they don't, like they're not, and they haven't even, like, my mother-in-law never even met my 7-year-old.
wow.
It's just very drastically different.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. All right. Let's see. What have been some of the hardest moments for you, and how did you get through them?
Parenting
As
wise, or,
a single mom. Yeah.
well, like dealing with an ex that's like difficult is hard on kids. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I need a psychology degree almost, like, you don't know you don't know what to do. You don't know what to say to them. You don't, you know, and they don't have a whole lot of say in a lot of stuff, like they didn't get to pick their parents. They didn't get to, they don't get to say a whole lot. Like, the court
Mhm.
decides everything kind of for them. Like, so that's hard, because like when your kid's crying to you saying they want something, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have any control over that,
Mhm.
and, and then you don't know what to do.
Yeah. When you say the court decides, like, what do you mean? Like, decides what exactly?
Like they'll say your child needs to go see this therapist and they have to
Okay.
talk about their dad, or, um, and what if they don't want to talk, then, like, and I have to bring them to an appointment, like,
Yeah.
sorry, they don't have a choice, like
Yeah. Yeah.
they have to be interviewed, they have to go to appointments, they have to show up to,
Mhm.
and I mean, they can say what they want, but like they still have to show up, they still have to be interviewed, they still have to cooperate with the process too.
Yeah. 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 Do you get support or help from your older children, like with other
Yes.
things?
Yeah, my older kids are more helpful.
Like with babysitting too, maybe sometimes.
Well, like, I've always heard, like, especially in big families, you don't want to dump parenting tasks,
Mhm.
on, I don't want them to feel like it's their job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously, if I say, hey, I'm running to the grocery store, can you watch your little sister? That kind of a thing randomly. But I don't want to permanently put them in a position of feeling like a parent, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Definitely.
But like I have a 19-year-old. If I have to do something, she'll get the 7-year-old from the bus stop and hang out with her for a little bit. If I have an appointment
Mhm.
or whatever with another kid, or that kind of a
Mhm.
thing. But I don't want them to feel like they're responsible, or like I don't want to put more on them that isn't their responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've seen parents who do that, and like they get like angry, and like the
Yeah,
older
the kids get
kids get,
angry, then they don't want to have kids when they're older because they already
yeah,
raised a kid. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
I don't want to do that to my kids. Yeah.
And the older child literally could be like 10 years old, and they're like supposed to
Yeah, that's
watch like
worse.
and they're supposed to watch like a 5-year-old, and then the mom
Get
gets
them ready
angry.
for school, get them
Yeah,
dressed.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I've heard that.
And then the mom gets angry at the 10-year-old because the 5-year-old is crying, and the 10-year-old isn't like, taking care of the 5-year. You know?
Yeah, I don't
I'm
I don't
like,
want to dump like
Jesus.
adult responsibility on a kid.
Yeah.
But
And then
obviously basic random, like, you know, quick
yeah,
tasks randomly,
yeah.
I don't mind, but I don't want to make it like a regular thing.
And then the older kid gets resentful at the younger kid, for like having to take care of them, if that's the case. Like at least that's what I've seen.
I heard, because I've watched other people share their stories. I don't know if you've heard of the Duggars, like that reality show 19 Kids and Counting, because they had 19
Mm.
kids.
Wow.
They were interviewing some of the older ones, and they said that they were all assigned like a buddy. So they were basically parenting two younger siblings, which is a lot. And they
Yeah.
said that they would start changing diapers at the age of 6, which
Wow.
boggles my mind, because a 6-year-old would have a hard time picking up a child in
Yeah.
general, but
Yeah.
changing a diaper, that just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that is a lot. My grandmother had like 19 siblings actually. So I don't know. They were like watching each
I think
other.
if you have 19, you probably need help. I mean, there's no way you can parent 19 kids. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I think kids were parenting each other, Like,
Yeah. Or they're just left on their own.
yeah, no,
Raise yourself.
no, for
I don't
sure.
know.
For sure. All right. What does a good day look like for you?
A good day is smooth with no surprises. Everybody does what they need to do. Nobody's late.
Mhm.
Nothing breaks. That,
Do,
yeah.
do you have a lot of good days, or it's rare, or
I feel like somebody always has something going on, like,
yeah,
or, like my dryer broke, and it's like, you know, I guess it's not the worst thing, but, like when, or if like, cause we're in a basement, like apartment, if it rains a lot and we flood a little bit, that's kind of a
Mhm.
pain because it's a lot of cleaning and, like, I mean, it's unexpected, I guess. I prefer if I know what's happening in my day and nothing too unexpected happens.
Yeah. Did you always want to have a big family?
Not necessarily. I knew I wanted my oldest daughter to have like at least a couple siblings, because I thought, it'd be nice to have like a
Yeah,
couple, permanent friends kind of a thing. Um, it wasn't I wouldn't say they were all planned. Like, okay,
yeah.
so my grandma gave me bad advice, right? But it worked out. I do like that they're very close. Like, so my first three are all a year apart,
Yeah.
with my husband. So my grandma told me you can't get pregnant while you're breastfeeding.
Mm,
And I remember going to her, my daughter wasn't even a year old, and I'm going to my grandma, I'm like, Grandma, you lied.
mhm.
But I believed her, because my grandma's kids were out, my grandma had 7 kids and they were all 2 to 3 years apart. So I thought, oh,
Wow.
that must be true. It's not. um so you know I had 3 in diapers for a bit, and it was
Wow.
hard.
No, for sure.
And then I got one of those 5-year IUDs, and then the OB's like, hey, you should wait a month before you switch in the next one. And I was like, okay. And by the next month I was pregnant with my next kid. I don't know, I
Wow.
shouldn't be surprised, but I guess I just didn't expect it to happen that easily. Or when people tell you, oh, it takes 6 months of trying to have a kid, you have one. But
Yeah.
not necessarily. But then, so we had her, and then, there was such a big gap, and, my husband's like, well, she needs a friend. She'll be like an only child, she's all by herself because everybody's in school, give her a friend. So she has a friend.
Yeah. Do your kids all get along?
Yes. Luckily.
Wow.
Yeah. They all like each other.
Why do you think that is? Because like I've heard families where like a lot of times siblings fight, like a lot of
So
times. I don't.
part of it is, they're very naturally just very calm kids.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know why. It must be like it might be from my husband's side, one of his few good genetic points. They're not like my side of the family, maybe because I'm Italian. We're kind of loud, we're wild, that kind of a thing,
Mhm.
um his family's very, very reserved, and all my kids kind of took after him. They're very, very reserved, quiet, calm. They're very easygoing. Even at school, all the teachers are like, "There's no problem." They get along with everybody. They just, I'm guessing it must be some sort of genetic thing. because I
Yeah.
definitely didn't train them to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
um,
what is your parenting style, if you know, or like how do you usually parent or have?
I'm pretty laid back, I would say, but
Okay.
my kids are also kind of rigid. Like, so I don't know that they would work with me if I tried to do something else. Like
Okay.
I adapt to my kids. Like they do
Yeah.
not adapt to me at all. So I
Oh,
have had to completely, you know what I mean? Like they need structure and they need to do things at the exact same time every day. They need to eat a certain way. They need things to be a certain way for things to go smoothly. So I've completely adapted to them. Like it
okay.
isn't what I would naturally probably do. Like with my oldest daughter, I feel like I was a different parent, kind of.
Yeah.
But I had to
And
adapt
you
and
were a different
change.
person too. Like you were
I
much younger.
was, but she's also a very, very different personality than all the rest of them, Like um she was drastically different than them. They're not that's why I think it might be genetic, like because you can see like like my oldest daughter, for example, potty trained at 18 months, right? And not because obviously I was a genius, because I was a dumb teenage parent, she just said, I don't like diapers, I don't want to wear them. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, cool. And then she just started using a toilet, like so
Oh,
then, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, okay, you expect the next kid that maybe they're gonna, not nothing, she didn't potty train till she was 3. She didn't care if she wore a diaper or not. It was like you don't get the same kid twice at all, and you're like,
yeah.
you think you figured something out, but then the next kid is like drastically different and so I just learned that I had to completely adjust to each kid and adapt and figure each kid out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do they all have different personalities?
They do. It's bizarre. Yeah. Right? You would think they'd be like similar a little bit. Like I've been told that some people think they kind of look alike, but I think they all look like drastically unique. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Next question. Have there been moments where you felt truly supported or completely alone?
Both. Yeah. I mean, some people like in extreme crisis have like kind of stepped up and helped me quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've had moments of both, right? Like I've had moments where people surprised me like you have no idea and were very helpful, and then I've felt like completely alone sometimes too, even though I know that like if I were to reach out probably somebody would be helpful, but like you do feel alone in moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, what do you think would be a good support system for a single mom, let's say?
Knowing multiple people that you trust, you know
Okay.
because
Yeah.
like you don't want somebody you don't know to pick up your kid from the bus stop, really, like people, you read so many news stories. It's like you want to be able to trust people, I guess, and like you want to know like, oh, this person would like hold my daughter's hand if they walked her across the street, or or,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like I mean there are people that might watch your kid, but you're like, I don't think they'd do a good job. you know? um
How,
it-
how,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, but like it's also helpful to know people that know things, like I love
Mhm.
bouncing ideas off of people, that like give you ideas, because like especially locally, like
Mhm.
people are like, oh, this person's really good at this, or that sort of a thing.
Yeah. How do you develop trust in someone, like for you personally? Let's say, like, how would you, like, like, if you get to know someone from Facebook, for example, right? Like, how would you trust them eventually? I guess. What would be the steps for you?
See, I'm like a super open, trusting person, which I'm trying to rein back a little bit because I feel like, whoops, that person was, what was I thinking, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um I mean, if they're friendly and they're receptive and they're fun to be around, I usually just automatically kind of trust somebody. But then if they, if somebody were to obviously do something that, like, whoa, that wasn't a good idea, that then maybe that would decrease it. But I feel like I just automatically do give most people trust.
Yeah, yeah. So like initially you kind of like give everybody benefit of the doubt, kind of like, like this is,
Yeah.
like we're talking, maybe you look at their profile, kind of like see what they're about, like then you talk to them like one-on-one, and then over time, depending on how they behave, you adjust the trust basically.
Kind of. I'm not sure that that's the best strategy. I'm sure other people weed people out quicker, but usually, yeah. I just assume good in others usually. But that doesn't mean that you'd trust them with your kids necessarily, is what
Mhm.
I don't mean that, but
Yeah.
so that aspect's hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not currently working and I get nervous. Like when they were babies, I was like, when I did work, my mom would watch them and I felt good, like, oh, I trust my mom. She's safe. Because even at daycares, like you don't, I used to feel so bad for people that had to put their baby in daycare. It's like your baby can't talk. And then you see all these posts, right? Like, I don't know if you've seen them, where people are taking a permanent marker and marking the diaper because they're worried that the daycare provider doesn't change their baby's diaper the whole day, or and you just hear all these like bad stories and you're like, I was grateful that I didn't have to put a baby in a daycare.
Yeah, yeah. What would that have been like for you if you had done that, do you
I think
think?
that would have been hard. I mean, you do whatever you have to do, obviously.
Mhm.
But that would have been really hard. Like I feel for people, like these women, you go back to work when your baby's like, you know, a newborn, and like you
Mhm.
have to, newborns are so like fragile, and you're trusting, basically, if you have to and you have no choice, you're leaving your newborn with somebody you don't even know, if you,
Yeah.
I don't know, that kind of scared me a little.
Yeah, yeah, but then like, also daycare can be extremely expensive, and a lot of times it is like really
Well, I know
expensive.
it is, but even so, like, no matter the price, like, you are trusting an unknown human being, you know, like, they can employ whoever, like, they can walk in and that, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, why are there so many videos? I haven't had experiences with babies in daycare, so I don't know. But like, you watch, I've seen so many videos where they're like, they didn't change my baby's diaper, they, slapped my baby, they did, like, somehow there's a camera, and you're like, other people might not treat your child the way that you want them to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that trust factor and like knowing who it is, and are they gonna be like, the way that I am and all that other stuff. So
Or you just want them to be kind and loving, like, but not changing a diaper. I don't know. I guess that scared me. I mean, it is financial as well, right? Like it is a huge financial, but I guess my worry more was like, you don't know what they're gonna do with your baby all day.
yeah, like you want to be able to be with your child, especially when they're like really young, so like, if especially if you're a single mom, a lot of times that might not be the option. Like that might not be something
Yeah,
that you
it's
can
not
do.
an option, really. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like, also, if you do leave your child with somebody, you want to be able to trust them. So like my mom, obviously, and my grandma, I trusted. Like, I knew they're definitely going to feed my child, change their diaper.
Yeah. No, for sure. All right, let's see. How has becoming a single mom changed the way that you see yourself? Or has it? Because you said you were kind of a single mom even when you were married.
I mean, obviously, I feel like I've learned things probably every year that I've been a parent, that I never expected.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if it was specifically pertaining to being single, but like just being a parent, I feel like every single year you've been a parent, you learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
I guess I pursue different aspects of learning things. Like in the beginning, you buy like the what do they do at each age, right? Like I
Yeah.
got like they do this at 1 month, they do this at 2 months, and this is how you help their brain grow. And like,
Mhm.
but then my kids never followed the book. And so I was like, what? I don't know. I guess I was kind of literal, right? Like with my first child, I thought, oh, they're supposed to do this at this age. Like when she potty trained at 18 months, I'm like, you don't, that's not how the book says it happens. Like, um, yeah. So and then you learn new topics that you never heard of, I feel like randomly. And then you start learning about that.
Mhm. Have you taken any parenting classes, like when you were learning how to parent, and what was that like if you have?
When I became a mom for like the first time, for sure, I was like, I don't want to screw this up. I want to do it right. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that they're parenting. So I joined like this, like there's a church by our house. They had like a single mom group. Well, parent. It was parent. It wasn't just specifically moms.
Mm.
And they said that which I don't now agree with, but this was before I pursued being in a relationship. They're like, children need two parents. They need a father figure and a mother figure, probably because it was a church, right? But so
Mhm.
then I thought, oh no, my kid needs a father figure. Let me go find one. And they said they recommended eHarmony. I guess they said a lot of like good moral people go on there, and because you're paying money to be on it. They have higher quality people on there. So I thought, oh, okay. But like that's how I met my husband. And I found out that like he wasn't honest. He just joined there to try to find somebody. It wasn't like he specifically cared about morals or you know
Mhm.
anything like that. And then the app dumps all this information out, right? Like you take all these quizzes. So he knew everything about me. He had like a playbook. He knew what I liked, what my goals were, like off the bat, like because
Yeah.
of the screening process. And then I thought I knew what I was getting, but he didn't fill his out accurately. Because I remember as time went on, I'm like, wait a minute, like you I know specifically we put this, this was our goal, and he was just mirroring me. Everything that I said I wanted, he just said, yeah, that's what I want. I want kids, I want family, I want this, I want that. Like, yeah, every goal I said I had, he just mirrored me, right? Like he just said what he thought I wanted to hear, and then he knew what I wanted to hear because this app, the site just gives him all the information. So my
Yeah.
point is if somebody's dishonest, you're kind of screwed. Like you
Mhm.
think you know what you're getting, and it isn't what you're getting. And I probably would have been better off like not getting, like I was fine. I had my daughter, I had a job. I don't know that children need two parents.
Yeah. Yeah. So you feel like he was manipulating you, pretty much?
For sure. Yeah. And then I wasn't sure if he was doing it on purpose. Like you try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I was like, is he just doing this because he knows he's not honest? Or it confused me quite a bit. But it took me years to figure it out. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
because you talk about your goals, you think, oh, I want a house. Yeah, I want a house. I want to go on family vacations. He was like, I want to go on family vacations. And then it's like, wait a minute, we're living in my parents' basement. We never went on vacation. Like, what do you mean? Like, he never bought us a house, like ever, like, but like every
Mhm.
goal I thought like a normal family would have, like he agreed to, but it never, ever, ever happened.
Yeah. 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 And then you said that was through church, that like the church encouraged you that you need like a second parent. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like they do push a lot of
Yeah.
ideas that I don't agree with anymore.
Okay. And then today you don't think that. Today you think
I
like,
don't think that. I don't think children need two parents and that one has to be a mom and one has to be a dad. Like,
uh,
I don't think that now.
what do you think today? Like, how does that, like,
They need one safe, stable parent is what I think now. I think,
Mhm.
great. The more adults that love a kid, the better. But I don't think a child needs that. Like I've met great single dads before that are doing it on their own too.
Mhm.
I don't think I'd push people to be in a relationship because that's better for their child, because I feel like that just would bring in another dynamic that you can't control. You can't control somebody else, right? So if you're legally tied to another human being and you cannot control how they behave and what they do, they could potentially be a risk factor for your kid as opposed to a helpful addition.
Yeah, like kind of like with your situation where you said that it
Yeah,
was like
because like I
having
did
another human.
consider, because he had told me for a bit, he said, I'll pay all your bills if we don't get divorced. But without legal requirements, I can't enforce that. I can't, they can withdraw whenever they want if there's nothing legally forcing them to cooperate.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Wow. Okay. Um, let me see. What is something you're really proud of in yourself as a mother?
I guess I like that I'm adaptable
Mm-hmm.
and I adjust because I know some people can't. Like I'm a pretty usually I feel like I can handle a lot. Like in general, like when I was younger, I liked to multitask. I'd go all day long,
Mm-hmm.
which has been helpful because I'm not sure most people could keep up with 6 kids and you know I mean, people tell me all the time, they're like, I couldn't do it. I can do it. So I do like that I have higher energy and that I can switch and focus on different things rapidly.
Yeah, yeah. Like your life, like you've adapted to it, like because you
Hmm.
have to, and you've learned over time. This is how to function, whatever. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
So like you're most proud of being adaptable. That's what you said.
true. Like I never wanted, I mean, I'm sure I do have a vice here and there, but I try not to get like stuck in a rut.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just the way my brain works. Cause like you always hear of these moms that are like, I go home and I need a glass of wine. Or I didn't ever pick up smoking, which that would be expensive. And I just never wanted to be stuck having to do something like even if I didn't want to, because like you meet like 90-year-olds and they're like, I quit smoking 30 years ago and I miss it. I need it. And that's all I think about all day long. I remember people telling me that and I think, oh, okay, well, you know, I never want to have to do something. I don't want to be stuck on something. I don't want to have a bad habit that just like is keeping me like controlling me.
Yeah, 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 for
Like I don't
sure.
mind doing something here and there. But
Mhm.
I don't want to have to do something on a daily basis to function.
How do you relax? Like what are the things that help you to unwind? Because I mean, like with 6 kids, there's like always so much to do. So like how do you make time for yourself? Like in what ways, I guess?
I wouldn't say I relax, but I definitely go to bed on time every night though. um,
Mhm.
yeah, I
So
don't
like
know.
routines,
I don't
routines.
purposely relax. I'm kind of a go person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've been trying to take up walking, but I'm not as consistent as I'd like to be with that.
What are your
But
hobbies?
I guess it's not relaxing. My hobbies kind of got stuck adapting to kids. Like,
Okay.
so like they pick an interest and I mean, I enjoy them. I enjoy the process. Like I have a daughter that likes birds. She decided she really, really likes birds. So we started learning about birds, checking out every bird book at the library, downloading that bird identifying app, the Merlin one. I don't know if you've ever done that. So like
Yeah.
every day at the bus stop, we'll identify as many birds as we possibly can, or she'll want to go like to the forest preserve and see how many different types of birds she can see. She wants to learn. I'm Googling for her all the time. She'll be like, what happens if this happens? Or do birds do this? Do birds do that? So
Yeah.
we have fun going down those type of rabbit holes. And I had one daughter that was like really, really into pandas. So we were learning everything we could learn about pandas, like, which there isn't a whole lot of information about pandas out there. So she kind of phased that out a little bit. But we learned that like there's only so many pandas, right? And it costs $1 million to lease a panda from China. So most
Wow.
zoos can't afford them. So one time, just for fun, I had randomly found a flight to Washington, D.C. for $50 one way. And
Wow.
we literally flew out because they have pandas at the National Zoo.
Yeah.
So we flew out, like spent one night, went to the zoo in the morning, and then flew back.
That's so cool though. That is like so cool.
Like we literally just sat there staring at the panda all day at the zoo until we came back home.
That is like amazing. You sound like a really amazing mom. Like you give
Oh,
so much,
thanks. You're sweet.
give so much to your kids and everything, you know. Do you guys read like books or I don't know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think every little kid loves books up to a certain age, and then they kind of want to read independently.
Yeah.
My youngest one still kind of likes to read. She has like her stack, right, of the same books she likes to read over and over and over again almost every single night. But then like she'll branch out a little bit at the library, but it's usually about animals, but I don't mind reading because I feel like I kind of learn something here and there from most of the books she wants to read.
Yeah.
Which I do like animals. It is kind of fun. Unless I'm forgetting a lot and forgetting that I already learned something. But I feel like I keep learning new things about animals I didn't know, like on a regular basis.
Yeah. So you're very curious, like inquisitive. Like you
Yeah,
want to
I have high curiosity.
and
So I
high
do
energy.
enjoy like when kids want to learn about something. I enjoy jumping in and learning about it too, you know?
That's amazing. That's so cool. Let me see. What do you wish people understood better about single mothers?
That's
Anything?
hard, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's so self-explanatory. I think people have a good idea. I just think most people, like, I wish most people had empathy, is what I wish. Like, like, I feel like a lot of people do know all the facts about stuff, but they
Yeah.
just don't care, you know? Like
Yeah.
I heard that, like, with criminal judges, for example. Like, I used to go to a support group mostly because, like, I liked the women in the group. It was kind of fun, and I liked learning about stuff at the women's shelter.
Mhm.
And all the people that had this one particular criminal judge, all, they're like, oh, I wish he understood, I wish he knew about this, kind of a thing. But the victim advocate said, well, we do try to educate the judges, and we beg them all the time to, like, learn about, like, domestic violence, or it's just that, like, you can't make somebody that doesn't have empathy care, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like you can have all the information, you just need empathy, you know?
Yeah. How do you think empathy develops?
Apparently, from everything I've been trying to figure out, it develops in childhood. So
Yeah.
if you do not develop empathy after a certain point, I think you just don't ever develop empathy.
Hmm.
I'm guessing it might be possible, but
Yeah.
I think it's rare. From like all the stories and things have kind of,
Yeah. What if what about like listening to someone's story and like hearing the other side? Do you think that could help develop empathy?
if
Like if
no
you
no 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 I
actually
think
listen.
I think you have to care about the other person's story.
Okay. Yeah.
There are people that just don't care. Like, I used to think that. I used to think, oh, I'm not explaining this properly. Maybe if I tried explaining it in a different way, or
Yeah.
it doesn't work. With children, I think it's very, very important to teach children empathy. And
How do
I think it's
you
something they have to develop. It's
how do you
not.
teach how do you teach empathy from what you've experienced or seen or understand? Like when with your kids,
I'm
like, you know.
already like a highly empathetic person, so I assumed it was just like a natural thing.
So it's like a
Um,
role, kind of like example, teaching by example, simply just by being a certain
well, I
way.
guess like this is something I would love to explore more, when kids are little, like, you're supposed to obviously care about them, not you showing empathy to them, I think helps them, like, helps them learn about it,
Model,
obviously.
like you're
And then
modeling.
also, if they do something, teach them, I, I'm not saying this has happened with, I don't know, my kids aren't this way, but like let's say a kid makes fun of another kid for whatever reason, taking a time out, teaching them, you know, maybe like this is the other point of view, possibly, I'm guessing would help them develop more, like explaining maybe.
Yeah.
I know they do a lot of social emotional stuff at schools now, so maybe they do kind of work on it already.
Yeah.
But I mean, my kids do show empathy. I'm not sure, but maybe it has to be modeled around them on a regular basis. Like my
Mhm.
kids obviously have a lot of empathy for animals. Like they love animals and don't want them to get hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, learning about animals, I've heard, helps cultivate empathy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
That's
guess I was
amazing.
kind of more worried about like like you want to care about the environment kind of a thing, and some people are like, who cares, but like then you
Mhm.
learn, oh, these poor little animals, they're drowning, they're getting hurt. So they do say that it's good to teach children, look, at this is why we need to care about the planet, this is why we should care about animals, and like learning about animals helps them have empathy for animals. I'm guessing with people that would work too.
Yeah. I kind of feel like like at the end of the day, it's like maybe working on yourself also. Like kind of like, the happier
True.
that
Yeah.
you are, the more that like you are kind with yourself, the more that you care about yourself, the more
Yeah.
that you can model that to like your kids or like other people, like your
They
own
do
self.
say like live how you want your kid to be.
Yeah. Like your own self-development, I think is the biggest gift that you can give to your kid. Like
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? I have one more question. Do you think that there are still stereotypes against single moms? Do you think that
Of
there's still like
course. Of
prejudices?
course.
Like can you
I'm
talk
sure.
about it?
Well,
Like
like
how do
what I
you?
was thinking of, partially only because like how you get, not because you're interested, but how like in your feed randomly, like you'll see like people like they rip on the moms, like they'll say like, well, you picked him, you chose this person to be the parent of your other kid, it's your fault, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Or like no matter what, like if there's any type of flaw in the situation, like if the dad isn't there at all, or if he was a bad dad, or whatever, like it's always the woman's fault, like always. Maybe just from how I see it, they'll be like, you picked him, like, but it's like, but people are not honest. Like they don't come up and tell you, hey, I'm emotionally immature, I have no desire whatsoever to grow as a person ever, and I am not going to help you, zero at all. Like nobody tells you that. Like everybody puts their best self forward when you first meet them, like usually, like, they present themselves one way, but it isn't necessarily the way they are. And you don't even know all the time what you're looking for.
Mhm.
Like when you first meet somebody, you have an idea maybe of what you want, but you don't know for sure, like, oh, I need somebody that does this, and this, and that would be a good partner. Like you don't always know that. Like you sometimes have to go through several people to figure things out and know what is a good partner or not, or. So
Mhm.
I don't like that women seem to exclusively get blamed if there's a bad relationship because they chose the person. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but I have seen that. And even like I've seen judges do this, right? So like this one judge in criminal court, I saw him tell a woman, um, it was domestic violence, and she had let this man into her home, which if it's domestic violence, he's either a boyfriend or a relative of some sort. And he basically beat her up, started punching her, kicking her, sat on top of her, choked her till she was unconscious. And then the judge, his first comment was, well, she let him come in her house, so it's
Yeah.
partially her fault. And I was like, why is his bad behavior partially her fault? Like obviously she doesn't want to be choked. Like, like I don't like victim blaming, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Sounds awful. Have you ever like, experienced people not wanting to like hang out with you because you're a single mom?
Not because I'm a single mom at all, but like possibly
Okay.
if somebody wants to do an adult thing, they're like, no kids. But
Yeah.
it's not specifically because I'm a single mom. Like I don't think people are bothered by me because I'm a single mom now.
Yeah, I feel like maybe in America it's also more like, accepted, more like okay. Like I remember some years ago I was talking to someone from Europe, like somewhere in like Switzerland or Sweden, somewhere in one of those countries, and maybe also because they're like predominantly like Catholic or Christian, like there's a lot of like religion that I think there has to be. So like this woman told me that like she knows a single mom and how like other women in her child's class did not want to like associate with her because she's a single mom, because they didn't want to be like, affected by like her, you know what I mean. So
Yeah, I don't think I'd enjoy being around judgy people like that, I guess. That would bother me.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I'd
yeah.
probably then definitely branch out and find other people that I could relate to. Yeah, I don't know.
It depends on the culture too, I'm sure. Like if you go
Yeah,
to like
I think
Middle
I think that's
East,
why I like living in like an urban area. Like
yeah.
I wouldn't want to live in a small town because I've heard it's worse in small towns. Like because I've
Wow.
joined, single mom advice groups and stuff, and people that do live in like small communities with super religious people, they're very, very mean and judgy. Um,
Wow. That
so
makes
I
sense.
kind
I
of
can
I
totally
like
see that.
diversity. I like living closer to like a big city like Chicago. I like more broad mindedness. I wouldn't
Open-minded.
I wouldn't
Yes.
want everybody to be exactly the same. I don't want everybody to think the same and do the same things. Yeah, I wouldn't want to live in a neighborhood like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally. Let me see. How do you take care of yourself when things get overwhelming?
I just keep going, really. I think when things get overwhelming, I think you kind of stop focusing on yourself and you just try to function and get through that hard time.
Yeah.
That's how I usually take things. I just, you know, push through. I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure also because you're so busy, it's hard sometimes to just like sit with your thoughts, maybe because you're always like going.
I mean, I think a lot. Like I'm always waiting kind of somewhere too. Like you're waiting to pick up
Yeah,
a kid or you're waiting in a pickup line or you're, waiting for an
yeah.
appointment or in traffic. And then, my brain definitely entertains itself. It wanders off.
If you did have a job, do you think there's any jobs that you could actually, because right now you said you're not working, but like you have so many things that you need to do with
I
six
loved my job when
kids.
I did work. Yeah, I don't know what a good fit would be because I just feel like it's so hard with kids,
Yeah, like you have to
like
drop them off at like and then pick them up, and like give me like
three different schools, drop them
what
off,
kind of
drop them
jobs
off
do
at
you
three
do?
different times, pick them up at three different times, and then like randomly they have late starts or randomly they have early dismissal. And
Like
it's
if you
like,
get sick or something. I mean, there's so many things that could happen.
and there's so many meetings. Like every month you're having some sort of meeting for a kid. Like, I don't know, it's just hard. Like when my mom obviously was around, I could do it because like my mom would go to stuff. I don't know that they'd let another adult now at this point. Like it seems like schools are getting more stricter legally, but like my
Yeah,
mom would take the kids to doctor's appointments for me if I needed her to, or if a kid was sick, they could stay home with my mom. It wasn't a big deal. Like
yeah,
I have so many of them. It's just hard to figure out how you find a flexible enough job for that. And it's like after school, you're stuck. Like you're a full-time mom after school, right? Like they have so
mhm,
much homework. Like they have this computer app they're supposed to do for at least half an hour, like minimum. They're supposed to. Like ideally, you're supposed to try to do it more. You're supposed to read to
mhm.
your kid for 20 minutes. You're supposed to, they have usually a math workbook. They have to do a couple pages in that. Like, and then kids don't really want to do that. So it takes, I was the type of kid that would just boom, I'd want to get everything done. And, you know, if you don't have a kid, if you have a kid that takes their time because they don't really want to be doing their math homework, it takes, at least an hour probably to get their homework done every day
Yeah.
for one
Yeah.
kid. And then
Yeah.
if you're not sitting there with them while they're doing it, they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you can set them up and do the, like, I mean, sometimes I'll put them at the kitchen table and I'll be doing the dishes, but sometimes they'll zone out and they'll just stop working if you're not right there with them while they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that motherhood in itself is a job that
Oh,
maybe
of
should be
course.
paid, by someone, the government or something?
It's
I mean,
definitely a job. I mean, when you look at what people have to pay other people to do,
yeah.
like cooking, cleaning, you know,
Doing
uh,
homework, so many things. Yeah.
comforting, holding, especially when they're babies. I don't know what other people's babies are like, but my babies liked to be held like all day. Like they wanted to be held. Like my arms were in great shape, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can't put them down, I mean, mine didn't, so I'd be, one-handed washing dishes, one-handed vacuuming, or, unless my
Yeah.
mom would hold them for a little bit. Like mine wanted to be right next to me. And like, you know, for every
Yeah.
activity, like even if you take a shower, like like, what do you do with them? Like they were very unhappy. I'd have to put them in a bouncy chair and take the quickest shower I possibly could, because they'd cry the whole time I was in the shower.
Yeah. I
I mean,
remember
maybe
that.
other kids aren't like that, but I remember being like wondering a little bit, because like occasionally you see a baby in like those carrier car seats, like
Mhm.
strapped in, and they're not complaining. They're just happy in the car seat. Like I remember thinking my kid would scream. Like I could never, more than a 10-minute car ride, they were upset. They hated being in that chair. Like, so I was always like wondering about people that would just, like you'll see a baby just like happily sitting in their car seat, like just sitting there for like, while they eat at McDonald's or something, and I always
Mhm.
wondered, like, my kids weren't like that. They did not want to be left sitting in a chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
Right.
even ate with them in my lap, like they wanted, maybe they wanted connection. I don't know, but they did not like being by themselves or left.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. All right, last question. If you could speak to another woman who is just becoming a single mom, what would you want to tell her? What would you want her to know?
I I mean, if she was a friend, I'd be like, I'm here for you. Anything you need, because I would know she'd need support. Um,
Yeah.
because I've had friends that were possibly going to be a single mom, and I was like, I'm here for you. Anything you need, because I mean that's kind of all you really can do. Like if they're your friend, like for sure, like whatever you need, I'm here for you. You know, I support you totally.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Do you have any last thought? Anything that you want to share before we end?
No, but it is fun, like interacting with like other like local moms, like like most people won't necessarily like strike up a conversation and want to do stuff. So it is nice to have a little bit more community.
Yeah, support and stuff. And
Yeah.
it kind of feels like, it needs to be scheduled ahead of time, especially with single moms who can be really busy. Like if we schedule some like a meetup or whatever before, like instead of like just randomly, like if you go to some like McDonald's, usually people aren't gonna talk to strangers. Like but
Right.
if you're there, like, and you're meeting these people, then it's
Yeah.
different. Then like you're there for a conversation, you're
Yeah.
to hang
Yeah.
out. So like ahead of time in your mind, you're kind of preparing. I'm there to meet these people. We're gonna talk. We're gonna share, hang out. So you're not like
Well,
meeting
you know
strangers.
that they're willing to have a conversation with you too,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. That's the other, because sometimes you don't want to bother people because you don't know
Yeah.
if
Or
they're
yeah, you don't want to
busy.
feel like you're butting in on their
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Or like, or you don't know if they're busy with work or whatever that they're doing. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Well,
you for
looking
your
forward to meeting you up again at McDonald's.
yeah, no, for sure. I'm
Yeah.
really excited. There should be some more moms or some new moms, I guess, I think.
If
Okay.
not, you're fun.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you on Saturday.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.